Hey, Audio Road listener, what is your profit per mile? How about your cost per mile? Or even your bottom line? Stop driving blind and know your numbers. Profit Gauges is absolutely simple bookkeeping specifically for owner-operators. Have instant access to business and tax reports that will help you increase your profits and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Sign up for Profit Gauges today and take advantage of our 30-day free trial. Know your numbers and master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call our Tribe Care Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Tuesday, November 26th. We are here live. Bruce is not going to be with us today. Eric's not going to be with us today, but we do have Leroy and Brian. We are going to open the phone lines right now, so jump in and join us if you have any questions about maintenance at all. Now's the time to ask. 855-950-3835 is the number to join us. We're going to get right to it today. Leroy, Brian, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin.
You know, is Brian there? Brian?
Yes, sir.
There he is. Good morning.
Morning.
So, I'm not surprised. The next several weeks, the next month, until we get past January, nothing gets done. Stuff like this. Where's Bruce? Where's Eric? I don't remember approving time off.
Yeah, it's hard to say. No one checks with me.
I know Bruce is in Cabo.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Nothing gets done we should just create a giant holiday from now till January, because nothing gets done anyway.
I still have to do things. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually busier now than I ever am. So,
well, see, I say that too, but it doesn't seem to be the case with everybody else.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
Yeah,
no comment.
Yeah. And I just mean across the board. I mean, when you try to get anything done this time of year, it's just really difficult. People are off. They don't want to work as hard. So I'm just going to take it easy this year too. What's new and exciting in your world, Leroy?
In my world, not a whole lot. I mean, we have a few trucks here and there in the shop.
Hey, can you bring your volume up or get closer to the mic, or you're a little quiet?
Oh, yeah, somebody was playing with the knobs.
There you go. Much better.
And Eric, my little boo-boo fingers, Eric, trying to run the soundboard.
He was in there messing with you.
Yeah, I don't know if he knows how to read, but anywho. Yeah, not a whole lot going on. We've been doing a lot of cleaning up lately. I think the one thing we did kind of want to talk about, myself and Brian, was the Black Friday sales.
Well, there you go.
The one that I specifically am going to talk about, the two is, one is the OTR tool has an even bigger sale. They're seemingly always on sale, but for Black Friday they're down to $3.99.
Wow.
From $9.20. So
yeah.
This is the best time of the year to get it. And it includes a 1 year of free subscription with $3.99. So
nice. That's
the other one I want to talk about was just the 10% off all tunes. That's kind of the thing that I handle the most. And yeah, this is a big time of the year for that.
Got it. So get your tunes, get that done. Great time of year. The other thing I always talk about this year, I haven't much. I talk about it every year around this time. I start telling people it's time to start looking ahead and any big purchases you're going to make around your business, the truck, that kind of thing, in the first quarter. If you can predict anything you're going to be doing in the first quarter, buy it now. We are still inflationary, so everything you buy ahead of time, you're just going to end up getting cheaper. And we can push that tax deduction into this year as well. So even if you're going to do tires in the first quarter, I would buy them now and move that up. Every tire dealer I've ever worked with would let me buy them, and they'd keep them there till it was time. You just need that invoice that says you bought it this year. But stock up on max mileage, stock up on oil filters, sample kits, whatever it might be, tax deduction into this year. Here's another reason to really focus on it this year. We know that the last time Trump was in office, we got the best small business tax cut I've ever seen. By far, wasn't even close. Nobody ever talks about that. They talk about the fact that he just gave tax cuts to billionaires, which honestly, I can't find anywhere in that tax bill how that benefited billionaires, but it definitely benefited all small business. We got that 20% pass-through deduction. That was like free money. Never seen anything like that. That may happen again. He's talking about, holy cow, he's actually talking about eliminating the income tax and funding the government with tariffs. I'd love to see something like that. But either way, I have a feeling taxes are going to go down or be changed dramatically. So get those deductions into this year. There's something else I want to talk about that doesn't directly have anything to do with maintenance, but it's a holiday week. Tomorrow's health. I'm not going to cover this. I don't want to carry it over till next week. But I saw something yesterday. It just kind of makes me crazy. I see this article, and it was said they tried to make it like a heartwarming holiday story about how this family who just started a trucking company had their truck stolen, and they started a GoFundMe so they could replace their truck, and they were up to like $4,000, and somebody came in and gave them a truck. That's all I know. There wasn't a lot of details about what the truck was or who it was, or there's a huge problem in this, though. First off, as soon as I read this, I thought, okay, so you had your truck stolen. Why do we need a GoFundMe? That's what insurance does. It looks
Yeah, that's
like,
what I thought.
yeah, I thought, why are we even talking about this? You call up your insurance agent, and you got a check in the mail, you go buy another truck. That's the whole point of insurance. So I read through the article. When they bought the truck, they put a 10-day bobtail policy. Well, they put a 10-day policy of some sort. And again, I can't find the details, but one of two things happened. If their insurance didn't cover this, it's either because that 10-day policy was only a liability policy, because that's all you need to move the truck. Now, they paid cash for this truck. I think it was a 2019 International. So nobody would have forced them to put comprehensive insurance on it. If you've got a loan on it, the lender is going to make you put comprehensive, theft, fire, that kind of stuff. But if you buy a vehicle for cash, even a business vehicle, there's no requirement to have that kind of insurance. You're just taking the risk all on your own if something happens to it. So right away, there is no reason that I know of. I have bought and sold a lot of trucks in many, many states. I have never, ever used a temporary insurance policy. I don't understand why you would. You're buying the vehicle. You're going into business with it. It is as easy as the day you go down to the dealer to pick it up, you just call your insurance agent. You give them the VIN and you say, I just bought this vehicle, and they'll put a policy on it, a permanent policy, and you're done. That's all you need. I don't know why we would have had a temporary policy on there. But it really gets worse. And I want to get to this quote because this kind of makes me crazy. I have a whole program, a year long, to teach people how to buy a truck and do it right. And I tell people, I can guarantee your success. I can guarantee you a certain amount of net income. I've done this enough, but I have a scoring process that I take people through. Based on that score, I give people a timeline. Here's how long it should take you to get started if you're just getting started. And that timeline is going to be somewhere between 3 months and a year. And the difference is where they are financially, if they have any prior business experience. But listen to this statement. This is the couple that they had to do a GoFundMe. It says Kerry Jordan, a CDL driver, said he quit his job on November 8th, taking a leap of faith with hopes of becoming an owner operator by November 25th. That's 2 weeks. And listen to the wording. Take a leap of faith. That's not how business works. That's Sunday religion. You can have all the faith you want in church. What faith does he have in business? It sounds to me like he knows nothing about business and didn't do anything to get prepared. Didn't buy a book, didn't take a course, didn't, just with hopes of becoming an owner operator in 2 weeks. You know what? People like this deserve to fail. And if they don't learn from their failure, they're just going to fail bigger. I can tell you that this was not an act of kindness to give somebody like this a truck. You just gave them the tool to get them even farther into debt before they fail. There's so many things wrong with this, it just makes me crazy. But then we turn it into this big feel-good holiday story. That's my rant. Any comments? Uh-oh, wait a minute. We lost those guys. I got to get them back. There they
You
are.
hang up on us?
What did you guys do?
I think you hung up on us.
What was the last thing you heard? Yeah, see?
You were talking about why would you ever,
Yeah, the temporary insurance
the
thing.
insurance, yeah, that's where we're at.
So, all
And
right.
you had a system for people to
Yeah.
explain to them,
Yeah.
how to do.
And I usually give them a timeline, 3 months to a year, depending on where they are financially, how much they know about business, what business experience they have. Here's the statement that kind of made me crazy about this whole story. It says, Kerry Jordan, a CDL driver, said he quit his job on November 8th, taking a leap of faith with hopes of becoming an owner-operator by November 25th. That's 2 weeks. And you can't use words like leap of faith and hope when you're getting into business. And my point on this was that giving somebody like this a truck is not an act of kindness. It's cruel. They are going to fail even bigger. That they're not going to learn a thing from their first failure. They're just going to grab this truck and go right back into business without asking any questions, without learning anything, and they will bury themselves with debt before they finally fail. So it just makes me crazy that we turned this into a feel-good story. Oh, look, they got their truck stolen. They're in this situation because they made really bad business decisions, not because somebody stole their truck. First off, they actually said they went and parked it at a truck stop and left it there. That's not a good place to leave a vehicle.
With the keys in it.
What's that? With the keys in it.
With
Yeah.
the keys in it.
Yes.
Running.
You know, when we have those trucks that we can't seem to figure out and fix, that's our, method. Take it to the hood, leave the door open, leave it running with the keys in it, your problem solved. But they wanted this truck and they had no insurance on it. Just these kind of stories just make me crazy.
The first thing that makes me think of is we talk about maintenance all the time and buying used trucks and buying a good used truck. I mean, who's giving away like a truck that makes money for them and is a
Right.
good used truck? You know what I mean?
Right.
They probably gave him like International with a Max
With a Max
Force.
Force,
Like
that's
it's in
exactly
severe
what.
rate.
Yeah,
Here you go, buddy. This will help.
Yeah. And honestly, it doesn't matter. They could give them the best truck possible. They're still going to fail. I can see this coming from a mile away. This is not hard to predict. They are not going to make it. Not unless they get serious about learning about business. 2 weeks, and then to use things like a leap of faith, and we hope we can become. There's no reason for that. You can absolutely become a successful one-truck owner. I'll show you how. It's not even that difficult. It's hard work, but it's not hard concepts. It's pretty simple. Comes down to third grade math, but you have to be proactive about something. They were proactive about nothing. They just went out and bought a truck and then went and parked it at a truck stop and never even got a chance to put it to work. But I'm sure they had no plan. Why is it parked at a truck stop? I mean, this thing should be out there with the wheels turning. But they had no plan.
What? It's not even stolen. It just got like repoed to like some lot because it was just sitting
Probably.
there.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe somebody stole it just for the module. I saw an article where they're still stealing those, I guess.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I just saw it the other day.
Oh, wow.
I know. One company had like 15 of them stolen out of their yard.
Dang. I actually haven't heard of that in a minute now. That was a couple of years ago. Everyone was getting it stolen. I'm still not hearing it, but
I know that was a COVID thing.
yeah, I mean, funny enough, I have my own like CPC I've had for years. Someone gave me, and I try to sell it on eBay, and no one will even buy it from me. So I'm just like, I don't know, stealing these things. I'm giving this thing away on eBay, and no one will buy it.
Yeah, they're making it sound like you just can't get them, and you have to go steal them.
Yeah, I can't give these damn things away.
Huh. All right, what else we got? Should we get to some calls?
I think Brian's got to go over the Black Friday sales. That's
good.
his job today since Eric's not here.
All right.
Yes, sir. All right, so we finally got we're finally getting caught up in the shop, so we do have some openings in the shop here. We do have a couple different things going on. The diesel force cleaning, you can get $200 off of it. It was $16.25. It's I'm sorry, $175. It's now $14.50. Overheads, they're normally we charge $560, are going to be $450. And these sales are all running till the end of the year, so it's not like you have to get in here, Friday. So we have to the end of the year.
But they don't start until Friday.
Don't start until
we're
Friday.
not one of those companies that just blow through. You know, Thanksgiving. We appreciate Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. And then also probably one of the best deals on here is that we have 10% of all parts that we install in shop with a maximum limit of $500. That's a pretty good deal there.
Yes, it is. It all sounds good.
And all that'll run through to the end of the year. And that's back to your, hey, get it done this year. I know back in the day, we used to have a lot of customers, hey, I need these parts. I just need an invoice. I don't need them,
Right.
I don't need to have them right away. But I need an invoice before the end of the year. We did that a lot. So.
Yeah.
Now I have a question for you, Brian. So you said 10% off all parts installed in the shop. Do they have to have like a secret code or handshake when they come in, or is that just anybody that has a service appointment for?
Well, they didn't give me that kind of information. So I'm going to say if you come in between Friday and the end of the year, you'll get this discount.
Wink real pretty at Brian at the front counter.
Leroy,
right.
there is a secret handshake, but we can't talk about it because then it won't be secret anymore.
That won't be a secret anymore.
Sheesh. Yep. Get with the program.
Let's roll Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club.
That's right.
With the second one.
All right. We're going to go to phone calls. Let's get started in South Carolina. Vlad, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
What's on your mind today?
I got an oil sample that I sent over, and there's some tags on it. Why don't you take a look at it?
All right. Let's see what we're looking at here. It's a cat sample. Wait a minute. It takes me a little while. Let me open
and I can't find the base also on it. I've been looking for the base.
Yeah, it always takes me a while on... where is the base on a cat sample? Antifreeze water.
It's the opposite of the acid number.
Well, I don't see the acid number either. So, soot, oxidations, sulfur, nitration, water. I can't find base on here. Why not? Your
Yeah, that's
silicon,
strange, but it is showing like some dirt and silicone.
your silicon's high. That's the one thing I would definitely figure out why. Has the engine been opened up?
No, it hasn't been opened up, but I've been having issues with my fleet air filter ever since I put it in. Like it's like dirt seems to be getting into it, and there's a side by side on June 24th where it was at 13. Then we decided to run it for another 20,000 and then take another sample.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
now it came up 1.
it's going to be that filter then. I mean, if you're concerned about the filter and we've got silicon, that's a pretty good chance that's where it's at. I can't find base anywhere on the sample.
And I'm cleaning that filter every 25,000 miles. Like I'm washing it, cleaning it. Every time it's dirty, especially that spot where the air comes in. It always has that discoloration.
You might be cleaning it too soon. Filters actually.
Well, that's what Fleet Air recommended me to. They told me you got to clean it at 25 because the very first one I did was like 65, and it was way in bad shape. They actually sent me a new cloth wrap.
Yeah,
because
do you run in a really dirty environment?
I mean, I go into construction zones here and there, but it's mostly OTR just over the road. During the summer, I did some flatbedding where I went.
I mean, I would think at least double that. I used to do mine at 75,000, and I never had a problem.
Yeah, because
the filter gets.
The very first one was 60, and Fleet Air they told me I should definitely never go that high.
25 seems too soon, 30. And the longer a filter goes, the better it gets at filtering dirt. It gets worse at flowing air, so we want to make sure we clean it often enough to keep good airflow. But a new filter, either one, paper or an oiled foam, they are their least effective when they're brand new. They're not filtering as good then. As they start to build up some dirt on them, they start to filter better. So at 25,000 seems. We'll get some feedback from people today, but that seems
it's super
really
dirty
early.
at 25.
That seems odd to me too. But that should not have an impact on dirt getting in. Whether we cleaned it every 100,000 miles or every 10,000 miles, we still shouldn't get dirt in. If you're getting dirt, something's wrong. There's a breach. It's not being oiled right. Something is wrong. The seal isn't fitting right.
Maybe I should use more oil on it. I'm using the cloths they recommend. Maybe I should use more of the can.
Possibly. Yeah. If we're getting dirt, you got to figure out why. Like I said, it's not based on how often you change this filter. That has almost no impact on this. I mean, really, the longer you would go and the more dirt that would build up on that filter, the less likely you are to get dirt in the engine. You're just not getting good airflow is the problem. If we let too much dirt build up, you're not getting good enough airflow. But we're at 14. We're getting dirt in there somewhere that we shouldn't be getting. And we know it's there because the other thing we're seeing now. Are you running the catalyst?
No, I'm not yet. I plan to do that later.
Then I would also say your wear metals are high. Both your let's see, iron looks a little high, aluminum's high, and that's an indication that we're getting dirt in the engine.
I was going to say what you could maybe try is putting a paper filter in just for a little bit.
That's not a bad idea.
And then just seeing if it's coming from the fleet air or some other leak in the system.
That's a really good idea. Good job, Leroy.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'll try that.
I think that's exactly what I would do.
And with the wear metals, there seems to be like quite a bit of a difference between my previous sample and this one, because this one's at 41,900 miles, and the other one is like at 20. and there seems to be quite a bit of a difference with the wear metals.
Well, if you look, you were above 13 on the last. Well, you were at 13, which is above 10. Now you're at 14. The longer you go with that dirt inside the engine, the more wear metals you're going to see accumulate.
Okay, and I did change the oil like 5,000 miles after this sample, after I got the results.
Okay. Well, and that's good. That
And
gives us a
what would
good,
you
clean sample. I would get a paper filter in there, and then let's see what happens with that silicon.
Yeah, I'll give that a shot. I got a question for the Pittsburgh Power guys.
Go ahead.
Shoot. Have you all started tuning the Mac MP8s yet? I remember I heard you guys were playing around with something like that.
Yeah, I'd like to see one in person. I think I've done one other one, but I just want to see another one. It didn't go exactly as I wanted to. I mean, we made power with it, but I mean, there's always improvements that you can do. So, I mean, if you want to spend a couple days in lovely Saxonburg, that would be great. We could learn a lot
Yeah,
from
I'll
that.
definitely. I don't mind being the guinea pig because I do have the turbo compound, and I know that these years the Volvos and the Max, they made them 445 horsepower and 455, and only the new one goes up to 500. So I was wondering, can I tune mine with it being a turbo compound to the 500 horses, or is it not safe, or is there an issue with that?
As far as I know, I mean, going just the 500 from 455 shouldn't be any problem at all.
Okay.
I mean, that's not any stretch of the imagination. So
Like,
we worse things
yeah,
than other engines. So
I would like to get better fuel mileage out of this. I mean, I have just a 12-speed single overdrive on this 247 rear.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely maybe plan one of these maybe after the new year and stop by for a couple of days.
All right.
Yeah,
Sounds
that
good.
sounds like a plan.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thanks for the call. All right, before we grab another call, there was one other thing. Normally I would save this for Friday's show, but there is no Friday show this week. I read an article about a single truck owner operator. He works in the ports in LA. He has the first fully electric Volvo truck for a single truck company. Volvo made a big deal about it, and there's a big write-up about it, and the Volvo truck has a fairly short range compared to what Tesla's claiming on their truck, and their charging rate is not nearly as fast. Tesla claims they can get an 80% charge in 30 minutes, and an 80% charge for them should be 400 miles. We know they exaggerate, but that's the number they're putting out. Now, Volvo says it takes 90 minutes to get an 80% charge, and that's 275 miles. This is not a very practical truck. Now, working in the ports, it's doable, but here's the problem. In the article, this single truck owner operator needed a $410,000 grant to get this truck.
Wow.
Yeah. How do we ever cost justify that? And then the other thing nobody ever talks about, we have no idea what his cost of electricity is. And they never put it in the articles. They act like these electric trucks are going to be free to drive around. They're not even close. Every time I've seen electric cost, it's more than diesel. So not only is the truck more than twice the cost of a new diesel truck, the operating cost just on fuel alone is going to be higher. We just don't know how much. And the other thing we know nothing about is what are the maintenance costs going to be on these vehicles. We have no idea.
And you probably have to have like a rolling blackout when that truck is charging.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I found out here in Oregon, I had one of our legislators on the other day, and she owns a 35 truck fleet here in Oregon. There are 6 states, California, Washington, and Oregon are 3 of them. I forget the other 3. They're scattered around the country somewhere. 6 states that on January 1st, like coming up in just about a month, that they are already putting in limits on how many electric vehicles have to be sold in each category. And the categories cover from 2B, which is like an F-250, all the way up to Class 8 trucks, motor homes, fire trucks, tow trucks, ambulance, RV, all of it, every vehicle in that category. They will have to sell 7% of the vehicles in every one of those categories as fully electric. That's coming up in a month.
How do you sell them if no one wants to buy them?
Well, how do you sell them if they don't exist? I
Well,
can't
that
buy
too,
a,
but
I can't
even
buy
if
a
you did
cla-
have them, what if nobody wants to buy them? How do you force somebody to buy it?
I can't buy a Class 8 motor coach in electric. It doesn't exist. I doubt that I can buy a Class 7 or a 6 or a 5. None of those vehicles exist. Nobody's making an electric fire truck or a tow truck or an ambulance. And in Oregon, we have one supercharger, one in the entire state. And its uptime is only about 50% because they say thieves keep stealing the copper wire.
I love
Is
it.
this like a South Park episode? This is insane.
Yeah, talk about
And
getting the cart ahead of the horse.
that number, so it's 7% in 2025, and it's 40% in 2029. That's right around the corner. 40% of all these vehicles in all these categories are going to have to be electric. It's just not going to happen.
No. And like you said, no one's even making some of the categories, like the electric fire truck. That to me just sounds kind of hysterical.
Right.
Like, I mean, they make electric fire trucks, but you get them at Toys R Us.
Yeah, exactly.
And they come with a little wire and you drive around.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get back to the calls. We're going to Ontario. Paul, good morning.
Morning, Kevin. I got a question about, I got an 06 Cat C13, and it's got about 800,000.
It's an A-cert with twin turbos, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
right. And I don't know if it's the turbo that's making a noise. I had it in the shop because I heard a noise I never heard before because I've drove this truck for 20 years, so I know it when it makes a different noise, and it's like a howling. Well, only when you accelerate. I tried all different speeds, still the same.
Yeah, Leroy, isn't there an issue between the two turbos that these develop a leak?
Yeah, they do. It's Brian.
But, Brian. Good.
But yes, they have a boost leak on that. The hose that charges from the one turbo to the other has that there.
That bellows pipe.
Yeah, it has that bellows pipe, and then they have almost like I'm sure it's not a lead seal, but I call it a lead seal. It looks like an old donut for exhaust manifold on a car that's slid down inside there, and it clamps together.
So Brian,
those things all leak a lot.
Brian?
Yes, sir.
How many coaches have you worked on? Diesel pushers?
Quite a few.
You're familiar with where that part is on the engine, and you're familiar with where the engine is on a diesel pusher. Do you know how not fun it is to replace that on a coach? I did it in a McDonald's parking lot.
I can't imagine. Yeah. I actually was the guy. Other than when Bruce used to do them out at all the RV shows, I did all the the RVs when we were back in Chesapeake.
Yeah. So Leroy, you're part of this story. This was right. Boy. This was right after you gave me 120 pounds of boost. Maybe it wasn't that much.
Like Bruce says, I was the one driving the truck.
So
was I the one pushing your throttle?
So we cranked up the boost just for the fun of it. I was actually getting a little over 60 pounds of boost. And I blew out everything in this system. I mean, I blew the whole charger, whole side of the charger cooler, blew out all the rivets. I mean, it all needed work. But when it happened on the road,
good time.
And I wasn't sure exactly where, I knew I had a major boost leak. And, you got to take the whole bedroom apart to get to the engine. That's about an hour job, and it really should be 2 people. But I had to do it with 1. And then I got down there and I found this part, and I couldn't see the part. Like, if you've never worked on this and you don't know what's in there, it's a pretty odd kind of setup. Luckily, I have a really good friend who's probably the best cat mechanic I've ever known. And I called him and I said, "Hey, what's in here?" And he sent me all the diagrams and everything I needed. And it probably took me somewhere between 6 and 7 hours to replace that part and get it all put back together. And then it turned out that wasn't the big boost leak. That was leaking clearly because the seal was just about gone. But I had lots of other boost leaks too. But we got them all fixed.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got them all fixed, and now we turned it down a little bit. Now I peak at about 50 pounds of boost. A little easier to drive. But that part was
So what would you recommend?
no fun.
So what would you recommend I look for or do? Or is there, how long do these twin turbos generally last? I think my last time before I rebuilt it, I got 800,000, around the same amount of miles. And I think the smaller turbo is, which one runs hotter, the smaller one?
Brian, I'm
What do you
not
mean?
sure.
Which one runs?
I'm not sure.
Hello?
I have a feeling what you do now is you get in there and see if it is this hose and the seal between the 2 turbos. That's the most likely place it's going to be.
Okay.
Now, the other thing you could do,
Um,
you can get your hands on a smoke machine. You could smoke test it.
yeah. And
Yeah, before
is there
the
any?
invention of smoke, we used to just do that with air. If you just regulate the air down to 15 pounds, you can usually hear it, or just, regulate your air down, have a quarter turn valve on there, pump in some air. You'll see the hoses start to swell up. Close your quarter turn valve. I always just pulled the air off of it and watch and see what the hoses do, and then open that valve, put your thumb over it, give it a second or two, let your thumb back off it. See, get a feel of if it's really holding air or not.
There you go.
And then once you find out it's not really holding air, you can put the air on it, leave it on there, and you kind of got to go around. Sometimes people that can hear the leak. I can't hear so good. We'll use a squirt bottle with some soapy water in it and just look for little bubbles and stuff like that. A lot of the times it's pretty obvious where it's leaking at, especially if you can hear it up in the truck like that.
Is there anything that would make a howling noise if something internal was going on the turbo? Like, can you generally hear a noise before they go, or do they just go?
Yeah, you could. I mean, if you got a wheel rubbing, that'll make a noise in there too. So I don't know. It's really hard on the one to see up inside there. If you can get yourself even one of those cheap bore gauges that you can connect up to your phone, or not bore gauge, bore scope, you can look in there a little better. But I'm not sure what your skill level is on what you're used to being able to see and not see. But if you can see where one of the wheels is rubbing somewhere, that could be making your noise also.
Yeah, I think most of the time it's either has blown like a
Yeah.
hole in it, or like Kevin said, it's the bellows pipe or the connection to the top turbo.
Yeah.
It usually has the issue, like the compressor housing. I think we saw one just like that recently. So if you can get access to the regulated shop air, I think I like that method a little bit better than the smoke test. The smoke test is a little slow.
Yeah,
I
that's a
usually
good
just
one.
love to shove as much air as I can before the boost blows off, and then
Yeah.
just you can probably hear it blowing out somewhere. If you can hear it from up front, this is going to be a really easy thing to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long would those twin turbos generally last before you have to put new ones on? Have you seen them go like over 1 million miles, 1.5 million? Is there
Oh
any
yeah, sure.
lifespan? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it all depends on how the truck's set up. I mean, if you have one that's set at 475 horse, yeah, they'll make 2 million miles in those turbos. But if you have one that's set at 800 horsepower, then they don't last as long.
Yeah.
So
No, it's set
And
at
then
450.
yeah,
Well, that also goes back to what the other fellow was talking about on air filters. if it's a matter of how much dirt can get ingested in through the turbo. It's a matter of keeping clean oil to keep the oil running smooth, or the turbo running smooth and efficiently. Different things like that. High pyrometer temperatures. If you have a boost leak, and that can help wipe out the turbo. If you're running high pyrometer temperatures and you're burning a wheel or something along those lines on the exhaust side.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a question for you, Kevin.
Sure.
So I got, it's like I said, it's a 2006 with a C13. It's a short hood 379 Peterbilt. I get really good fuel mileage. It's been a really good engine. The first rebuild, I got to 1.1 million miles on it. Didn't touch a thing on it except for the turbo. I did the turbo about 800, the one of the small turbo, I think. But other than that, the only reason I rebuilt it is because I had a cracked head at 1.1 million miles. So now I'm at 800,000 miles on the rebuild. I haven't basically touched the thing except for head gasket on it. And it's a great running. I get in the 8s in the Canadian mileage. I don't know what that is in the US. But I'm 60 years old, and I'm thinking about retiring in the next between 60 and 65. But I have to get a body job on this thing because the windshield, all around the windshield, is rusting out, and where the cab mounts are at the front, they're notorious for that, for basically breaking. And it's like, do I bother putting more that money into it, or do I just? I don't know. I don't know what to do at this point.
Yeah,
I'm so close.
And when we get close like this, it's not as easy of a call, but I think I'm pretty clear on what I would do here. You could potentially have 5 more years, right?
Right.
The last thing we want to do is put a bunch of money into this, and in 3 years, you're stuck with, well, I'm not really ready to quit, but this truck's killing me, and now I need another in-frame. Or I just think if we try pushing this one, we're going to end up in a worse spot in a year or two. Honestly, in today's market, there are really, really good $30,000 trucks out there. Really good. It's something that's going to improve your fuel mileage by 2+ miles to the gallon. Should have much lower maintenance cost. Isn't going to need. You might get the next 5 years without putting much money into them at all. I mean, a lot of these trucks are 400,000 and 500,000 miles, and we can pick them up cheap. Yeah, and you would have 5 years worth of use with no major repairs. That's the way I would go. I just, if you had 2 or 3 years, I'd say let's keep this thing running. But if you want 5, it's not going to make it. It's going to be more expensive.
I don't.
In a 3-year window, we could argue either way. We could argue, yeah, you're going to put some money into this one, but if we go out and buy another one, we got to spend some money. 2 to 3 year window, it's a coin toss. 5-year window becomes simple.
That's where I'm at because I don't have to work 5. Like I have, like, over $500,000 in the bank. I have debt free. I don't have a mortgage or anything. I don't have any payments. My living expenses are around $1,500 a month.
So let's
and
say
I've got a
then.
dream job where I'm home all the time.
Yeah, then that changes things. And the way it changes it is that this decision is not that critical. Flip a coin.
No.
I mean, really, or which one is more appealing to you? And forget about the money, because the money's not that big of a deal based on what you just described to me. Like I said, at 2 to 3 years, it's a coin toss which truck would cost us more. At 5 years, it's not a coin toss. I would say that a new well-spec truck in a 5-year window is going to be significantly less expensive. I just think if you put a bunch of money into this, 2 or 3 years, there's going to be more money. There always is on an old truck like this. And have you priced body work lately? Holy cow.
I know. That's why I was like 5 years ago, I think it was around 10,000 Canadian to do this. Now, my buddy yesterday told me, he says, good luck.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's going to be now.
Could be double that now.
Probably.
Yeah, the prices on body work on everything has just gotten crazy. So the good news is, either way, this isn't going to change your life or your retirement. You've set yourself up well enough that this decision won't be life-changing either way. So the best way to make it now is which one is more appealing to you? Do you like the idea of, hey, I want to go spec one more truck and get some new technology? Does that sound exciting? Or I
No.
really love this truck and I do not want to get rid of
I
it.
love this truck.
Then keep it.
Yeah. If
Keep it.
this is my last truck.
Then keep
But
it.
do I do if I did the buy job, would I get that money back out, or is that just
No.
lost money?
No, I would. Now, again, you have the money to do this. You can afford to do it completely right, like a nice restoration. Or you could go the other
Yes.
way and say, look, just do enough to keep me running so, things aren't falling off.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way would be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate the info.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go to Idaho. Merv, I understand your volume's really low. You're going to have to work with us and speak up.
Yeah, is it better now, Kevin?
It's okay. We should be able to hear that. I think I can turn you up a little bit on my end too.
Okay, I'll speak up too. Yeah, I had a question and a couple of comments. The guy that called about his air filter getting dirty.
Yeah.
I've had. Give me 1 second. I had a problem like that just recently, and what I found, it was the evacuator valve, which you'd refer to as maybe a dust boot, that you pinch and you let the dust out of the unit. Well, mine was missing, and that's on the intake side of the filter housing. And I was bringing in way more dirt into the filter housing than I thought, and maybe that's something he could check out.
Something seems odd that he's getting that much dirt in that short a period of time.
Yeah, I agree that. And mine, I had some trouble finding it, but I did come across that. And I believe that fixed my problem. I haven't done a oil sample since, but I've checked my filter and it looks much cleaner than it was.
Got it. Good. Good. All right.
Okay, so another comment I got is about, you were talking about the 24 volt APUs, and I think there's a lot of kickback from people because they just hate the idea of electric anything. And something to make that easy for people to understand, it's just a simple formula. Power equals impedance times energy, which is the wattage equals amps times volts. And if they look at that formula and then they realize that if you double the voltage, you cut the amps in half to get the same power. And that's where the efficiency of a higher voltage system comes in.
Yeah, trying to convince people with all the technical stuff usually doesn't work. I just think that people, it's a shame that we politicized this so much, that this now electric is a political issue now. And I wish it wasn't, because I see lots of good uses for electric, including vehicles, but I don't want it forced and I don't want it subsidized. They should not be taking our money and giving an owner operator a $410,000 grant to buy an electric truck. That's too risky of a proposition for a one truck company anyway. Now, if they have their own money and they want to go try this, knock yourself out. I think it's really risky. If I still had my trucks, I promise you, I would have been one of the first people to order a Tesla truck. I would have gotten my hands on one as soon as I could have, and I would have been testing it, but I would have been able to. I would have been able to afford the mistake if it turned out to be a mistake. This guy can't. It's his only truck. It's how he puts food on the table. And they're going to take money from us to buy this overpriced truck that isn't ready for prime time. So we've screwed this up, and it's a shame, because I see a lot of places where electric is going to be superior. And
Yeah, I
APUs are
agree.
one of
There's
them.
definitely a place for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Um,
Joel has been
yeah,
running an electric APU now for quite a while. He's got a couple different configurations, and he loves it. And I've talked to a lot of people that really like them a lot. They're not perfect. They have their limitations. I get that, but so does everything else. And I just think there's this is the other thing we have to remember about electric. We have 130 years now with internal combustion engines. More than that, the diesel engine's been around longer than that. We have progressed over that entire time. Electric is brand new. We're not even in our first year yet, really, of running electric Class 8 trucks. We've got a lot to learn. They're going to continue to get better. I just wish the government would get out of it.
right. Maybe a less technical way of looking at this for like about the voltage versus amperage issue is if you look at the guys that grew indoor pot, they would always switch their systems because they're running a bunch of lights. They'd switch their systems from 110 to 220 because that way the power company may not be able to detect that they're using a huge amount of power, and that's how a lot of them are getting busted, right?
Right.
So there's a way to look at it too.
Yeah. So
So
hey,
the question I had was about
go ahead. No, go ahead with your question.
Okay, the question I had was about my fuel filter on a 6NZ Cat, the secondary filter, the one that's closest to the rail. I have a hell of a time changing that filter and being able to prime that filter to keep the pressure in the fuel rail. And it's always been a problem on this engine I got. And I'm wondering, is there supposed to be a check valve between the filter and the rail to hold that pressure in the rail? Because I've talked to other guys and they say that they can actually fill their filter, spin it on, and turn the key, and it just fires right up, no problem. And I spend hours dicking around with mine, and the only way I've been able to get it to work is there's a fitting right up by the rail that I open up, and I just keep pumping up the filter to push the air out of that. And once there's no air coming out of it, that's when I can start. But it takes at least an hour for me to get that to happen. Is there something I'm missing?
Could I ask you what engine did you say this was again now?
It's a 6NZ Cat.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. What are you calling the rail?
Well, what I call the rail, I guess, is the part. I guess what's the part of the filter, the part of the fuel system past that filter.
Okay, the main line going up to the head then is
After the pump.
Well, yeah, and maybe beyond that line, like inside the engine where you have to have, or inside the valve cover where you have to have pressure in there to make it, to have it start, right?
okay. So I call that like a fuel galley. I understand what you're saying now. It's just terminology there. I consider that more of like a fuel galley. But so you're saying it's all draining back out of the head, which seems odd to me on that you're having such a hard time getting that to run. And the filter is full.
Yes, the filter is full. I don't pour the fuel into it, but I've tested it where I have it figured out that if I pump 115 times, it'll fill that filter up. And I've actually taken the filter off to make sure it's full of fuel and then started over and done it again. But it fills up after 115 pumps of that pump, which is a lot of work. Is there a reason you don't like to fill the filter? I'm just concerned about getting any contamination in the filter.
Unfiltered fuel. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, a fast fuel system would definitely, fill up your filters and get the fuel up to there a little faster. Help you with that.
I've done this with a fast fuel system on. I don't have one on this engine right now, but I did, and I still had the same problem then.
So you've had multiple cats that you've had this same problem with.
It's actually on the same cat, but in a different truck. Like I moved this engine out of one truck into another one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and you have the hand primer there, and are all the check valves good in the hand primer?
Well,
that is one place to know they have the check valves.
Okay. Maybe that's what's not working is the check valve in the primer. There's not supposed to be one beyond that, closer to the engine then?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sure on that. I'd have to look at one again.
Okay.
Now, what kind of fuel pressure is your gear pump making?
I don't know that.
I'm wondering if the gear pump itself is weak and it's not allowing it to feel it can't pull hard enough, or it's not making enough pressure to help you with the starting side.
Yeah, like this is only when I change the filter, not
That's
under
the hardest
normal
time
operation.
Right, and that's the hardest time the pump has to work is when it's been dry, or when you have that air introduced to there.
So are you talking about like the transfer pump? Is that what I would be looking at?
Well, I call it a gear pump. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the transfer pump.
Okay. All right, well, I'll check that out and see what I can do. I know I changed that transfer pump at one time, but I don't recall what happened then. But I'll take another look, and maybe I'll try a different primer, and not that, I'll be looking at that transfer pump.
Okay. Now,
or gear pump.
Leroy, was there a regulator in that filter housing on a return side that may affect that?
Yeah, there's the check valve on the backside that's supposed to keep 75 pounds of pressure in the head.
Okay, so it could possibly be that then it's allowing the fuel to drain out of the head.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you would experience some performance issues if it can't do that.
Okay,
but,
all right. If it can't hold the pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right. So you're saying that if it was that check valve on the return line, it would be causing me other issues, right?
Yeah, if you can't make the fuel pressure that's required for the injectors, then you would probably have, a lot of black smoke, lower power, high pyro, things like that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the help.
You're welcome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call. Let's go to Washington. Brent, welcome.
Well, hello. I have a very similar question to the last gentleman. I've got an ISX 15 CM2350, and when I do my oil service, when I do my PMs and try to prime my truck by cycling the key, it doesn't do that anymore. But my question was, I'm getting the fuel code 559 for low fuel rail pressure. And it's an inactive code. It's kind of a bear. Like I've got probably 100 counts, a lot, but none of them have been severe enough to give me a yellow check engine light yet. It only happens to me when I'm loaded up hills. I'll lose power for a little bit. I've been trying my best to figure this out, and I've been told that there was a check valve possibly that gets dirty. And I think it might be somewhere around the lift pump. and I just can't seem to find it. I was wondering if you guys could point me in the right direction.
Yeah, we've done quite a few of those, especially over the last couple months for some reason. So just like you said, it's the 559 comes up when you're under full load, when the pump has to supply the highest pressure in the rail, because that's the way that the ECM is calibrated. And it comes down to one of two things. It's either a leak in the system, that could be an obvious external leak, which I'm sure you don't have because you probably noticed that. So by leak, it's probably one of the injectors, or it's some sort of supply issue with something going on in the fuel pump head. What do you see, Brian? Like a cracked plunger or something stuck, cam wiped out inside. So it just depends on whether it's a leak in the rail or whether it's a supply issue. We usually put it on the dyno, override the fuel pump, and then see if it's losing fuel pressure like it can't keep up, or if it's leaking down. And it's generally a fairly quick thing to figure out which one it is.
Would I be able to, if I hooked up my laptop and like did a data log while I was pulling any information? I don't have access to a dyno over here.
Yeah, that's going to give you, under full load, you're going to see the measured fuel pressure versus the commanded. So let's just say, for example, the commanded fuel pressure is 36,000 PSI, but you're only measuring 28,000. So that's the reason for the 559. It's seeing the discrepancy between what I'm asking for and what I'm actually getting. The other thing, Brian, you probably back me up on this. One quick thing is just to take the head off the pump and then just see if you see cracked, because that was the last one we had, was with the little ceramic plunger was cracked.
Right, and the barrel, the one on that other one that had actually part of the barrel was actually cracked down on.
Yeah, and that's not all that big of a deal, right? That's just
No, it isn't. It's a little bit of time, and you actually can replace just the barrel and plungers on those. You don't have to always do a complete head unit. So that's, but you have to. That's back there. You have to know what you're looking for.
Right, and I didn't personally do it, but I've had a mechanic replace the head on the high pressure fuel pump because I was getting a 559 code with the check engine light like a couple years ago, and it was definitely that. So they changed the head already, and then I also did the high pressure leak down test, and my truck held pressure for a long time, like over 29,000 PSI for over a minute without dropping at all, pretty much. So I guess my friend was telling me, oh, your problem is on the low side somewhere. And he was like, you got to find that check valve because sometimes it just gets dirty. And I just don't know where that check valve is. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. If someone can point me in the direction of whatever check valve he was talking about.
Yeah, I'd have to pull up a thing on QuickServe, and I could email it to you, like as far as like a fuel system schematic, and you could try to go after the low side. Of all the ones, I
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not generally the low side, but yeah, if you want, just get a hold of me after the show with your email, and then you can just email me at leroy@pittsburghpower.com, and I'll email it back to you. But yeah, I mean, if it's the low side, I think it would come on pretty quick. Because that's going to affect it more across all the boards rather than when the pump is at full load.
Okay, so maybe it's just a bad pump again, or a cracked plunger like you're talking about.
My guess, if you've already replaced the head of the pump, you probably have a leaky injector somewhere, but that's kind of hard to tell without putting it on a dyno and seeing.
Okay, well, I will email you. Because I've been on QuickServe and I've tried to find like those diagrams are really confusing to me, and I've been trying for weeks now. So I mean, maybe it's not the problem, but just to, cross this off, I will email you. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks for the call. We're going to head off to Tennessee. Tom, welcome to the program.
Hey, just wanted to look at that oil sample.
All right, let's take a look here. Oh boy, everybody's sending me weird samples today. Now I got to go to a Blackstone sample. All right, any specific questions, or am I just looking at it overall?
Well, this boron is really high. I don't know
Yeah,
why
well,
that would jump up
Let's stop right there.
all this.
We can ignore boron completely. Boron is what we call an additive metal, or it's an additive of some kind that doesn't even have to be in the oil. Additive packages can be different. One company might use boron to do something else. Somebody might use something else. I wish all the labs, including, ours, would take this section off the sample. I've been reading oil samples since 1995. I've read tens of thousands of them. Not once have I ever used this section for anything. It just confuses people. I have spent so much time explaining this to people. I wish they would just take it off. It's just meaningless. So if your only concern is boron, then there's nothing to worry about.
Well, I don't know that I have any concerns really,
Okay,
other than
so, and that's
that.
what
I'm
I
just
always
looking
ask
at it. It's
first,
only,
so I don't have to. So if I'm looking, let's see, we have 762,000 miles, 22,000 miles on the oil. Do you have a bypass filter?
no.
Okay, so no
But
bypass.
there's technically 140,000 miles on this engine.
Ooh, okay, why?
Built,
Well, then that's
because it
what you
was
should put on
rebuilt.
under miles on unit. Always put
Yeah, I do.
from your last in frame, so we know. Why was it in frame so early?
The head cracked and blew the head gasket. So while they were replacing the head, we just decided to do the whole thing.
Huh? Was it using
They
any
said
oil?
no, but they said I took it to Cummins and they said that the sleeves had dropped or whatever.
Oh, so there was no choice.
I guess, yeah.
Huh? And nobody
So
knows
I don't know what
why everything.
They said that the fire ring causes that.
Huh? All right. So let me try to look.
I don't know. They sold me on it, so I said, here's $35,000. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, Brian, Leroy. I mean, sounds like an awful lot of money at a very early mileage to drop $35,000 into this engine.
And what year was this? This was
It's a
It's
2019.
again?
Build is a 18, but it's a 19 truck.
Okay. And on an ISX, yeah, they do have some problems
X15.
with that. Yeah, I'm sorry. They have problems with the liner protrusion issues, so that doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, from what I was reading, that's about the mileage you get out of them, between 600,000 and 700,000 before you have to do a in frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I'm wondering about on your current sample, they're not showing any base.
Okay.
4 out of your last
I thought it was
3 out of your last 4 samples, they don't show base at all, but they're also not showing
Oh, I
acid.
see.
I don't know. That seems odd to me. No fuel dilution to worry about. Wear metals. Are you running the catalyst?
I am
Okay, so the wear metals
running
aren't
that
high.
in the C whatever that cetane stuff is.
Okay.
The flash.
Silicon was high a couple samples back, but it's been coming down. So I'm going to assume that was back just left over from the in-framer when somebody opened it up. I don't really.
No, that was a Fleet Air filter that failed on me. I've had problems with that filter. The foam will actually, because mine's set sideways.
Yours is a really
and the
odd
foam will
shape
actually
on
fall
this
down.
truck, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is an odd filter.
Yeah, the filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I ended up having to put get like a springy type wire and put in there to make sure that it stays put.
Okay. Got it. Well, and that worked because now the silicon level's down where we want to see it. I don't see anything wrong with this sample, and I don't really see anything wrong with the engine. Everything looks fine.
Okay. Dan Vor.
Yeah, it looks good
That's
now.
all.
So I would just keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. All right, guys, we are going to wrap up early today. I've got a CMC later today, and I got some work to get done on that. And it's a holiday week, and nobody showed up, and so we're going to wrap up a little early today. Any final words of wisdom?
Just just a normal sales pitch. I got the 10% off of the fast, the tunes,
Give it to
OPS
him, Brian.
starter kits, dampers, balancers,
right.
manifolds, and a gauge bundle on the pyrometer and the boost gauge.
And if you have any more questions, visit pittsburghpower.com.
Yes, sir. Yes.
There you go. There you go. I'll throw my sales pitch in for the day too, because I normally don't. But
Let's hear it.
we've got a sale going on. Leroy, have you experienced mind fuel?
Is that like cocaine or
Aren't
something
you
else?
curious at least to know what it would be like to be running on mind fuel?
I need mind fuel. Yes, I need that because JR Jet Fuel Coffee just isn't getting it for me. I need something better.
Better. We have the upgrade, and we have it on sale. So Mind Fuel. This is our own product, by the way. This is our first branded product. Normally, we wholesale stuff from other people, but we created this product. It's pure C8 from coconut oil, and we call it Mind Fuel because it produces ketones. And when your brain runs on ketones, it's like running your car on nitrous. Doesn't that sound like fun?
That does sound like fun. I could definitely use that.
You should get some. Couple squirts in your coffee. Great way to start the day.
Ooh,
So right now,
and it goes in coffee. Does it taste like coconut?
it
the problem.
has no taste at all. It's the most neutral oil I've ever tasted. Just it's like water, no taste.
So what's the sale? What's it going
So
for
if you
right
buy
now?
a 5-pack of bottles, you'll get a 6th bottle free.
Okay, and that's just 5 coffees then, right?
Oh no, a bottle of this I use 2 tablespoons in my coffee each morning, and a bottle lasts me several weeks. I mean, there's
Okay.
a
Well,
couple weeks worth in each bottle. So this is a good deal.
I see it there. The MCT oil. Yeah,
There you go.
I'll check it out.
There you go.
I'll be jacked for next show.
That's right. I'm looking forward to
Mind.
it. Mind Fuel. All right. Thank you guys as always. We'll do it again next week. In the meantime, if you have any questions, give them a call at Pittsburgh Power. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Destination Health, and that will be our last show of the week. We'll see you then. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.